Hey everyone, Coach and Hoka One Athlete Sage Kande here with another Training Talk Tuesday. I believe it's episode number 25. Thank you so much for all your questions and votes up from last week's topic. We got a top voted question here that I'm going to answer. Actually, the first one was, how did you get your cat to run with you? And here's a little clip from last week's video of me running with my parents' cat in the woods in Oregon. That cat is just really a people person. She loves being outside. She loves being social. More social than the dog even, more likely to go on a run with you compared to the dog. So the cat loves to play. It's a very interesting cat. We've had a lot of cats over the years. Well, not a lot, maybe 2 or 3, but this cat is definitely the most social one. So that's how, I don't know, the cat does it on her own. It's amazing. She's a running cat. I've seen cats go for walks and go out with runners that we know though, so it's not too rare. Anyway, top voted running related question here, more running related we should say. Hi Sage, glad you are improving and staying healthy. My question is about calorie deficit, particularly on long run days. I mainly run ultras, typically running 5 days per week and cross-training the others. On long run days or in peak training blocks, I find it can be challenging to make up the calories as I don't quite feel hungry enough to balance out a 10,000 to 3,000 calorie deficit over the day. Should I mostly be aiming to even the consumed/burned ratio during peak training, or is it okay to have a block with some regular deficit and make it up during the taper? In case it's relevant, I eat a whole foods plant-based diet and I eat loads. Bonus question is the answer basically IPA. You could get some calories in with a good old beer, I will say. This is actually a non-alcoholic beer, but 7 kilocalories per gram, lots of carbs. With alcohol, the alcohol being 7 kilocalories per gram. It doesn't matter if you're drinking wine or hard liquor. It's a pretty high calorie type of drink. So to answer that question, going for the whole foods, especially trying to eat healthy, right? A lot of antioxidants, fruits and vegetables. Generally as vegetarian vegan, especially as an endurance athlete, you're going to have to eat really large portion size because it's not as calorie dense, right? You think of calorie dense foods, you think of meat, right? Really fattening foods, desserts, pure oil, right? Fat is a lot more kilocalories per gram. I believe it's 9 compared to carbohydrates and protein. So if you're a vegetarian or eating plant-based, larger portion size. Now, I've never had trouble personally getting in the calories I need, and that's, even running over 120 miles a week or 200K per week, but it all kind of depends on the person, your age, and your metabolism. The main thing I would be concerned about is just making sure you get a good blend of amino acids or the building blocks of protein. So complete proteins to rebuild that damaged tissue, to overcome the stress of running training, especially long runs and ultra marathon races, and then make sure you're staying hydrated and getting all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients you need, right? The B vitamins, you're getting plenty of vitamin C if you're eating a lot of vegetables, but things like that, magnesium, a lot of electrolytes, sodium, potassium, right? So the vitamins, nutrients, iron, right? All these things pretty important for athletes and runners. So it's about having a balanced diet, but in terms of the calorie deficit or being worried about actually not eating enough to level out to your exertion level, most people kind of have the opposite problem. A lot of people get into running to try to lose weight and excess body fat, and it's a great way to burn calories. You could definitely burn calories though with higher intensity training. It's not necessarily the long, slow distance or long run days that actually burn the most calories. It is if you run 20 miles or 32K in the mountains and you have this huge work output. But if you do hard intervals quite a bit and long up-tempo runs and speed training and marathon pace work or faster, that intensity is going to up your metabolism throughout the course of the day, more probably. And if you're running twice a day or you're doing like weight training, that could also really boost your metabolism and burn even more calories. But the question is not to lose too much weight. And I'd say generally you don't want to be in 1,000, 2,000 calorie deficit for that many days in a row. Definitely, maybe on your long run day you are because you don't have the stomach to eat enough food, or if you race, you're in a huge calorie deficit usually. But generally throughout the course of the week, things should level out and balance out. And as long as your body fat percentage, and again, this is kind of hard to measure, but as long as your body fat percentage is, say over 6-8% for a guy, for women it's 15-18%. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a medical professional or a doctor. For women, it's a lot higher. the minimum level of healthy body fat. You have to have an essential amount of body fat to stay healthy. You don't want to get too light. You don't want to lose a massive amount of weight if you're already on that lower end of the spectrum. So you got to keep your body fat percentages up and be eating healthy. At the same time though, if you have some excess body fat to lose and you're slowly shedding some pounds throughout the training process, that would be perfectly natural and okay. And you would have to be in at least a 500 calorie deficit per day on average to actually burn or lose a pound of fat per week, right? About 3,500 calories for the whole week, you're losing a pound of fat. The thing that you want to watch is if you do a long run day and you're weighing yourself, before and after the run, a lot of that weight loss is all going to be water weight loss, right? You go out and you're sweating buckets of sweat, you're exhaling a lot of water vapor with each breath, right? A lot of water loss. You could easily drop 2 or 3 pounds, 1 or 2 kilograms even during the course of a long run, especially if it's hot out and humid. That didn't mean you actually lost weight. It means you got really dehydrated though, and you need to start drinking some electrolyte fluid and replenishing those stores. So weight fluctuations on a day-to-day basis, usually it's a lot of just water weight fluctuation. To actually slowly, steadily burn off a pound of fat usually is more in line with like losing, 1 or 2 pounds per week, or gaining 1 or 2 pounds per week. And either way, as long as it's gradual and you have a trend going, it's probably going to be okay. So to answer the question directly, no, I don't think you have to make it up. You don't want to make it up during the taper. If anything, when you taper, you actually need to reduce some of your portion size, or at least maybe just cut out some of the extra beer and extra desserts that you may be eating during peak training. And actually during peak training, if you're worried about getting enough calories in, I go straight for the ice cream, cookies, and cake, right? So calorie dense, a lot of high fat types of food. Sometimes you have to eat unhealthy to get in all the calories. It kind of reminds me of Scott Jurek, the famous ultra runner that won Western States 7 times. When he was doing the Appalachian Trail FKT, his record got lowered eventually, but when he was out there setting the record, he's vegan. He was eating a lot of vegan junk food to get in the calories. And when you're hiking, 50 miles a day every day, nonstop, racing these long trail FKTs, you're definitely going to be in a massive calorie deficit. And it's probably going to be pretty unhealthy, especially the sleep deprivation. So it's a tough balance. I wouldn't be too worried about it unless your body fat percentage is getting too low. Again, disordered eating is very rampant in the endurance running community, so you have to be careful with that. You don't want to be too light or too thin, or you're just going to break down and not have enough energy or get some sort of injury or other health problems. So as long as those body fat percentages are in a healthy level, if you're losing some weight here or there, make sure it's not too much water weight and it's not just from getting dehydrated. And I wouldn't be too obsessed with counting your calories every day either or at all. I've done it a couple times as an experiment and it kind of drives me crazy. So, eat until you're full. Try to eat a balance of fats, proteins, carbohydrates. Make sure you're getting in, all those vitamins and minerals and nutrients, and make sure you're staying hydrated so your weight doesn't drastically fluctuate on a day-to-day basis at least. And if it does, it should be a trend over a course of weeks and months probably. So that's kind of the healthy way to do it. Drinking more calorie-dense shakes could help. If your stomach feels kind of off after a hard workout or long run. Sometimes you don't feel real great for an hour or two, but then 3 hours later, all of a sudden you get really hungry and you could eat a lot. But definitely want to make sure you're getting in a good mix of those foods to help you recover. So thank you so much for all your questions and support on here. Again, thanks to the Patreon supporters for really making this channel possible. Thanks to title sponsor Hoka One, keeping the dream alive as I recover from my health issues. More on that on my personal vlog later. But submit your comments for next week's Training Talk Tuesday below on this video and vote up comments that you like, and the one with the most votes will be the one that I will answer next week. Thanks for tuning in. Check out my playlist. Subscribe on here for more of these types of videos. Hope you're doing well, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.